Okay. We just finished talking about this Nun Alofim Yevlis, 175. Mm-hmm.
I had a question based on this. If we're saying that all this Nun Alofim Yevlis, which is the world, everything here is nothing compared with this Nun Alofim Yevlis, and this always said comes from Shemai, right? So if we're gonna say that, so then what is God doing? Like, if you think about it, for God the world is much nothing, and everything that exists is nothing compared to God, and that's only Shemai. So then, like, he's not busy with the world. The world he's beyond everything. So what is God doing? Everyone thinks God is in control of the world. For God to control the world is like nothing for him. So what else is there? The only thing that exists is the world. So if that's nothing in front of him, so what else can he do about it? I don't know if my question is clear. Like,
is he bored?
It's very clear. Yeah,
no,
he's bored.
I'm not bored, but
Why not bored?
No, I don't mean bored. I mean like he's not involved more than like what is involved with us. Very good level.
This is a question that we should attend to, even though it's a little bit, out of context. This is not what we're talking about. But perhaps in order to be able to relate to what we are talking about, you need to have this understanding. We say in davening every day, right in the beginning of davening, we say that Bli Reishis Bli Tachlis. You all remember that? Bli Reishis Bli Tachlis. Huh? Adonai. Without the beginning, without a Tachlis. What is a Tachlis?
Destination.
Huh? Tachlis is purpose. In other words, what we're saying here is not Bli Reishis Bli Sof. So the same Bli Reishis Bli without a beginning, without an ending. So Bli Sachlis. The truth is that in the English language, for instance, an end is also called a purpose. To what end? In the secondary meaning, it's used to say, to what end are you doing this? Which means, when is it going to end? What is the purpose of this? So we say that Hashem is without a purpose. Many races besides. So anything in our world and in our experience, in our realm, to say something is purposeless, what does that mean? Huh? It's useless. It's purposeless. Here we're saying, a praise to Hashem, we say, Bli Reishis Bli Tachlis. Thus we have to understand that yes, indeed, in our orientation, anything that we can identify, anything that exists in the context of existence, of worldly existence, must have a tachlis, must have a purpose. And without that, it's useless. And it's purposeless, and you discard it. It has no value. It's valueless. because it doesn't have an intrinsic value. But knows what intrinsic means? Huh?
Inherent.
Well, no. I could see that you could do them. Intrinsic means a value of its own, not for any other use, for any other thing. Intrinsic. Anything in our world does not have an intrinsic value. Its value is only because of some interaction, some other effect.
There's nothing like that in this world?
The whole world does not have an intrinsic value. If the whole world doesn't have an intrinsic value, then within the world there cannot be anything that has an intrinsic value. Right? I'm sorry? חשיבות עצמי. I want to give you a little illustration of the concept. We should always understand that when we give a mashal, it's always in context. It's a limited comparison. It's not 100%. A piece of jewelry. You can have a piece of jewelry, very beautiful piece of jewelry, that is a good ornament, and it beautifies the person that wears it. But it's made of glass. It's colored glass. So this glass is a piece of glass. But it has a function, and it executes, it accomplishes its function, and in that respect, it has a value. Its value is dependent on the fact of it, on its function. Now, take a diamond. A diamond is also used for jewelry purposes. But if we reflect a little bit on this union, we will understand there's a very big difference between a diamond being used and a piece of glass being used. A diamond is also beautiful. But the significance of the diamond in a piece of jewelry is not its beauty, it's its value. Someone wearing a diamond shows that there is a value, so to speak, that this person is valued, this person is respected to the point where he wears a diamond. In other words, the ornamentation value of a diamond is not just in its beauty, because you can have a big piece of glass that's more impressive than a diamond. But it has no intrinsic value. Whereas in a diamond, its beauty lies not only in its appearance. Sometimes you have a teeny diamond, you can hardly see it. But it has a profound value, and its ornamentation. Everybody understand this word, ornamentation? Ornamentation. It's jewelry power. It's the power of its beautifying person. It's the value that it has to the person that wears it is in its value, not in its appearance. One second. Now, in the world, we have all kinds. We have the custom jewelry, and generally speaking, I hate to say it, but a goike, Puerto Rican goike, she would rather have a heavy piece of glass for a dime, for a jewelry. A Jewish girl, a Jewish woman, would want a diamond, no matter how small. I prefer a diamond. I don't care how big it is. A diamond to a piece of glass anytime.
They're more expensive.
Because there is a message of value rather than of appearance. And the value creates the appearance rather than the appearance. The diamond, relative to a piece of glass, is what's called an intrinsic value. Its value is not in appearance. Its value is not what it does to the person. Its value is what it is. You understand that the concept? I once, in a class, asked the simple question: what's more valuable, a diamond or bread? Bread, you can eat. You can have real use of it. What use do you have of a diamond? And some people said, of course you want a diamond, because from one diamond you can buy a lot of bread. And clearly they missed the whole point. If you look at a diamond as a lot of bread, you miss the whole point.
For this you should understand the diamond.
That's right. But, okay, so you're not explaining, but you understand the concept. A king, you know the story with the crown prince that needed a certain precious stone, a diamond, and it was in the crown of the king. Now, why does a king's crown have a diamond? Not because it beautifies it, but because it gives it value. And in most instances, real valuable diamonds, real valuable jewels are not even exposed. They're kept in a storage.
It's too dangerous.
Excuse me?
It's too dangerous.
No, it's not. Their value is to be in storage.
I don't understand.
They're too valuable. If you wear them, you are understating their value.
They have copies of the work.
Yeah, right.
But
You're saying it takes away from the value to overexpose it, it makes it regular. Right.
It's so that you don't understand its value. You are exposing your shallowness. You don't understand of something that's valuable. You understand?
New
what I'm
idea
saying?
from you. Actually, no.
what's the value? What is the value? 'Cause
Ah.
if it's really not value, we know there's nothing of real value in the world. It sounds more like a custom of people to think that it has value.
You're right. You're right, in a certain sense. But we know, for instance, we also understand that in the Beis Hamikdash, in the Mishkan, gold was very important for the Beis Hamikdash. The kruvim had to be made of gold. They could not be made of any other metal. The menorah was made of gold. And the breastplate of the Kohen Gadol was precious stones. And the Kohen Gadol wore two large diadems over here of precious stones. Why precious stones? I want to give you a little bit of an insight in this. You're right that this is this is all a value within a worldly context. However, if we understand the profound principle that this world is godly, this world was created by God. And where is this manifest? Where do you see the godly quality in the world? You see the godly quality in the world in its beauty, its infinity, its brightness, its variety. Like we said many times, the beauty of a flower is not a physical thing. It's beauty. And why is there beauty in the world? Because it's a godly world. Because Hashem created the world. And the world is expressing its inner beauty. And why are there diamonds in the world? Because it's Hashem's world. Why are there such precious stones that are really precious, that are perfect, that are hard, that cannot be penetrated? Beautiful. That are beautiful, that shine, because the world is a shiny place. Why is the world a shiny place? Not because the world is a place, because the creator of the world is shiny. And for this, the Gemara says, that the world really is not suited for gold. Gold and world do not go together. Why? Besides the beauty of gold, if you think about this, you'll see right away. The world, by definition, everything in the world is temporary. Everything in the world, it holds on to a certain duration. Then it ruins, it rots, it gets it spoils one way or another. It
bought out.
And it gets rusts, whatever it is. Gold is some kind of a metal that's part of the world, does not have any of the limits of the world. It's not a worldly thing. You can put gold in water and let it stay there for 1,000 years. It'll come out as fresh as you put it in there. That's not world. There's nothing in the world that has that defies world. Why is there such a thing in the world? Because the world was created by God, which is not world, which is higher than world. There's a truth in the world that is not worldly. And it was made for the Beis Hamikdash. Because in the world there is a place called the Beis Hamikdash that is not worldly also, even though it's in the world. So, such an item as gold, there's a platinum, which is even more precious than gold. Diamonds, precious stones, all of these things, this is what we call something having an intrinsic value. And intrinsic value means that the question, what do you use it for, doesn't apply. Everything else, it applies. Why do you have a piece of jewelry? I wear it. Why do you have a diamond? I just have it. I have it in my storage. I never look at it. Once a year I take a look at it. Or if that much. I have it. And the treasures that the Melech has, that the king has, that consist of gold and diamonds, of these precious stones, uniquely precious. This is what the expression in Chassidus says, this is the backbone, this is what makes the kingdom a kingdom. What gives it depth and gives it a place, a position that is beyond measure. I don't exactly remember the details. There's some kind of a diamond, like a 5-carat diamond. I mean, that this is the treasure of the British crown.
It's in the tower, no?
Huh?
It's in the tower.
I don't know where it is. This is the treasure of the British crown. This is what the whole British Empire stands on this little little stem. It's symbolic in our world. It's symbolic. But it gives you an idea, and it permeates even into our lives. It gives you an idea, you have something valuable. This is a watch that I paid, I think my wife paid for it $12. I'm wearing it already for several years. I have no problem. It's in perfect time. There are watches that don't look much different than this. That cost $10,000. Literally. These watches are not made to tell time. These watches are made to show off that I have a watch like that.
So if nobody sees, you don't care about it?
What?
If nobody sees this watch, person don't care about it?
Well,
Like if you have a...
okay, so maybe it's the similar thing, like a diamond. Even though, and the similar thing. I mean, you're talking about a value that is beyond its usage. Because as far as usage is concerned, a simple $10 watch can tell you the time perfectly. Truly, I mean, when my wife bought this, my watch, the other watch started, she went and got me this watch. I think, Tom, you'll have a watch, we'll see you later on. I thought it'll last 2 months. I have it ready for 2 years, I have no complaints.
Best $10 ever, huh?
I remember when your watch broke.
You remember that, right?
Yeah.
I know, it's 2 years, something like 2 years. This watch with the band and everything, no complaints. It's a good timepiece, but it's not a valuable thing to put away in your storage. Okay, having understood that there is such thing, even in our world, even our limited perception, there's such thing as intrinsic value. And we understand that the whole concept of intrinsic value in our world comes from the fact that this attests to the fact, it displays, it expresses the fact that this is a world that was created by Hashem. It's not just a natural world, it has beyond nature quality to it. It's a much deeper quality than just the interaction of elements. It has a soul, it has a true intrinsic value. given to it by Hashem, by its creator, which is manifest in this fact that there are things in the world that are beyond understanding, beyond value. By us, in our experience, because that we are all creations, we are all a name, we are all, so to speak, a manifestation, a koyach. So our value, so to speak, our happiness depends on our activities. Because if I don't have any purpose, then I lose my personal worth as well. Every person has to recognize that he has a purpose in this world. He has a shlichus. He has a tachlis. And if you say he is there without a tachlis, then he loses self-worth. Because in our world, nothing is intrinsic, because it's all temporary. Therefore, it has to have a tachlis. What do you have to accomplish here? In what way? Accomplishment means in what way are you related to the overall and to the eternal presence? You're here a temporary thing. In what way are you related to the eternal existence? That's a tachlis. But when we talked about Hashem, Hashem is a diamond. Hashem His presence is beyond measure. It's emes or amiti. His presence is not because he can accomplish so much. This is all, this accomplishment and this creation, capability to create is a chitzonis aspect of Neighbors. It's a chitzonis thing. Because Hashem wanted that we should benefit from a little peek, a little glance of His greatness, so He created the world. So we should be able to grasp, to have an idea, this rich idea, there is such thing as an intrinsic value. That's a rich idea. Or we should be an intrinsic value of life, an intrinsic value of doing the mitzvah. Understand the truth and greatness of Hashem. Hashem wanted that. We should benefit, so He created us. That's chesed Hashem. That's it. This is not what Hashem is for. Hashem is a truth that beyond measure. B'ni tachlis. He doesn't have a tachlis because he doesn't need a tachlis. He's beyond tachlis. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah.
Okay, I have two questions. First question is a person's value based on how much he fulfills his purpose, or how much purpose is assigned to him? Like how much, you know what I mean, yeah? That's the first question.
How would you answer the question?
Well, for instance, there's like people that they are not physically or mentally able to fulfill their, I guess, maybe they are, I guess they have to if they're here. I don't know. I don't know how to answer the question, that's why I asked it. I just know that there's different types of people in this world, and for instance, being Jewish, it's like the ultimate purpose. But like somebody else maybe, or someone who's Jewish and is not so able to fulfill that. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, The reason I asked you to answer the question is because I'd like you to think a little more precisely. Focusing on your question, you will see the answer. The value of something is the purpose for which it was created. The extent to which he accomplishes his purpose is the extent to which he has utilized his value.
What about people that can't do anything?
People that can't do anything have their purpose. Absolutely. Let me give you an illustration of this, people that can't do anything. You are sitting here on Hashem and learning, and you're working hard because you want to, you have a drive, you have an neshama, and you want to get as much of understanding of life, understanding of Hashem as possible, of Torah. And thereby, by this effort, you are expressing, you're showing that you recognize the greatness and the greatness of Hashem and the greatness of recognizing Him, of being in His world. Now you have a person who, say, a person who doesn't have the opportunity or the ability of that many of us have been granted. Did you ever watch an elderly lady? An elderly lady that lives alone, because, she outlived her husband. And the big task of her day is that she goes out to the grocery store in the morning and gets herself this little quart of milk and juice and makes her way back to her apartment. And with this, she is the happiest person in the world, that she was able to accomplish it on her own. And this trip is a planned trip. This is not a trip that you jump out and go. It's planned exactly when and how it's going to be done, and how am I going to cross the street, and and who's going to help me up the sidewalk, and all that is pre-planned, and it's done in the right time, in the right way. Finally, you made your way, and then you walk step by step until you get to the corner, and then you cross the corner. Once you cross the corner, you're in the safe ground, and you're almost there. You almost made it, and in this way, you come home. Right? The spirit for all that is a Kiddush Hashem.
I remember you saying this like 3 years ago as well. Now.
You understand?
Yeah.
This is a Kiddush Hashem. What did she accomplish? She accomplished enormous. Anybody watching her who says, "Oh, what's my life about? I'm not a millionaire," says, "Stupid man, take a look at this young lady here. You get inspiration from her. Because you see that she values life. She appreciates what life is. Why she appreciates life? Because life is a glorious, beautiful thing. It's a godly presence in our consciousness. So, your question is just simply doesn't have a. So this is to explain to you that when we speak about Hashem, and we have a name for Hashem, we speak about Hashem. That's like we speak about everything else. I explained to you one time before that that we have to pay attention to what we are saying. What do we mean by Hashem? Do we mean, if we mean just, like we ask the question, where does the world come from? We ask, Hashem made it. So, If the world needs to be created, needs to be made, so why doesn't Hashem need to be made? How is Hashem an answer to creation of the world? You haven't answered anything. You just pushed the question off to another level. The answer is that when you give this answer, the explanation, when you give this answer, Hashem created it, you know what you're talking about. You're not just sending an address, go ask him. You know what you're talking about. You're saying that Hashem, who is not world, who is bli reishis bli sachis, who is an intrinsic, a real presence, he created the world. How do I know that he created the world? For many, many reasons. Because there has to be intrinsic. And the world shows us much. The world shows us much. There are aspects in the world that are intrinsic, that are true. That means that the Creator is a true Creator. One of the things that Chassidus explained is say, Hashamayim Mesatrin create kale. And because that when we see the heavens, and we see the stars and the sun, we see especially the sun that gives off light for 5,500 years, and with the same undiminished power. We see that there is a limitless power behind it. It's a godly creation. It's not a natural thing. Because in nature, just like we said before, gold has a quality that is beyond nature. In nature, everything has to diminish. Gold attests to the fact that there is a quality in the world that is beyond world. And our neshama is attesting to the fact that there is a quality in the world that is beyond world too. Even more than the gold and the sun.
Right, it means that our neshama is also in the level of Betachlis.
Yep.
So that's a real problem because if
No. Let's not go into that debate.
Okay.
That's not going to work with me.
All right. So we are talking about this, his boinus that the Rebbe is describing, of the greatness of Elokus. How all the world, Menishkul Dargin, this is only Ha'ora Meir in Soif. And as we say, Mishubu Kumfei Adeat Shmoy HaGodel, that it is only from Shmoy, and not only it's Shmoy, it's only the Hoid, the Ha'ora of Shmoy. So, even though this is a common thing that's brought down and it's not being discussed here at any great length, but since it's brought down in a context that we have to be misboining, so we have to be able to kind of relate to these words. By saying his name and the aura of his name, what does it mean? So I want to discuss a little bit with you this Inyan. What is a name? And what does it mean that this is his name? And the whole world is a ha'ora of his name. the principle of a name, we spoke about it and you learned in Chumash that Odom Orishain assigned names to all the creatures that Hashem made. Gave them their names. And this is a whole parsha in the Torah, that he gave them names. So Chassidus explains that this reflected tremendous wisdom on Odom Orishin, and he was able to see through the nature and the purpose, the tachlis of this animal, and give it the proper name. So what? What's the significant? Name is just a reference. Call it a table, call it a chair. What's the difference? The main thing is a reference. The meaning in this Inyan, that there is a name just like lahavdil by human beings. A baby is born, and its presence in the world becomes complete when it gets a name. A name gives a person a unique presence. This is why, animals do not have individual names. They have only a species name. A horse, a donkey, a cow. Human beings, you don't say he's a human being. That would be an insult. Because every human being has its own place in the world. He has his individual name. In other words, that which has a name, the name denotes that this is of such a quality that it deserves to be referred to by a specific name. And what is this quality? What is this quality in the person that he has a name? To illustrate the point is, when you are seeing the person face to face, you don't have to use his name. You see the person. When do you have to use a name? When you don't see the person. Now, when you don't see the person, he's not there. So what does this tell you? This tells you that the name signifies that there is a presence even if he's not there. A true presence is such that exists not only when you stumble upon it. Oh, you're here. Excuse me. A true presence is that which is true whether you see it or you don't see it. A person, a human being, has a true presence. Whether you see him or not, he is a true presence, and you can talk about him by name. Animals, lahavdil, do not have a true presence on individual level. There is a species. There is this kind of animal, this kind of animal. So you can speak about donkeys even in absence, even if you don't see a donkey, because there is that species which is real. But individually, they're significant only when you stumble upon them.
If someone names a house pet, does he give it is that giving it a real presence, or is that just like a made-up thing in his own
That's
mind?
a made-up thing in his own mind. And it's only true to him. It has no. When he talks to someone else, he's not going to talk to him by name. He's going to talk to him by my dog. You know what I'm saying? If he does, so then he
No, if the friends know the dog, all the friends that say,
okay, so
Joey in the park.
so that's like being in presence.
Huh?
That's like being in presence. Because we're referring to some kind of thing, but not in absence. Okay. In other words, a name infers that there is a true presence. Such a presence that even in absence is also present. You understand? What? Oh, right. Mention your name. Okay. So that the concept of a name means it notes, and that this presence is so true, as I said, even in absence is also present. Hashem created this whole world, but we don't see Him. We don't see Hashem. We see His creation. So we say that even though He is not here, so to speak, we don't see Him directly. What we are seeing is His name. We see the truth of His presence through His name, through the fact that He has a name. And how great is this name? This name is infinite. In other words, this is an infinite presence even when He Himself is hiding. Even if in absence. So here we have an idea what is meant, Nizdof Shmoy, that the greatness of His name. The entire creation, this is a manifestation, this is an expression of His name, because He's not present here. We don't see Him. In His absence, this is how great we know how great He is.
So name means presence.
Name means present, presence because of His truth, not because of personal presence.
And you call that its truth is its intrinsic value, yeah?
Right. Okay, so now we can continue a little bit inside. So I'm going to start. Are you ready? I'm going to start on the line that begins with Mufoyer. That's 8 lines from the top on 175. At the end of the line, after he says Nun Alofim Yoivlis. Hakoil, okay, we ready? Hakoil hu bibchina shmoy levad. all that is in the aspect of Shmoy. It's only a manifestation of his name, of his presence, so to speak, in absentia. Ki nizgov Shmoy levad. And then the pasuk says beyond that. It says Ki nizgov Shmoy levad. That his name is actually remote by itself, which means the Gam Shmo Yizboreh, that even the name Hu Nizgov U'Meroimo is really supreme and remote. V'rag Hoidoi V'Zivoi Shel Shmoi Al Eretz V'Shamayim. What we actually observe in Eretz V'Shamayim is only actually a reflection of the name itself. As we also say, Ato Kodesh v'Shimcha Kodesh. There are two levels of Kodesh. There's Ato Kodesh, and then there's Shimcha Kodesh. Now, this Ato Kodesh, I want to stop here and reiterate what we discussed before today, that we have to always remember that when we speak about Hashem, we speak about Ato Kodesh v'Shimcha Kodesh. What does he do? How busy is he? All that is completely out of line if we understand, if we pay attention to what we're talking about. So there's two levels of Kodesh, Ato and Shimcha. The Shimcha who Gamkin Kodesh, that essentially the Shem is also Kodesh. Elo, except the difference is that Shimcha allows that Ha'ora mibchinas Shimcha nimsho bo'ira. That the Ha'ora mibchinas Shimcha, of the aspect of Shimcha, that can come into the world. Abba b'chinas Ato Kodesh, but Ato is itself, Hu shemuvdo legamri, that is completely removed. Ad shegam haora mizeh ein mizgal klal, so that even a haora of that does not come into any kind of revelation. Not even a haora. Ukmei shekosu, and as we say, the pasuk says, Yoshes cheshech sisroi. Sisroi means Satan, his secret, his hideout. Hideout is called choshech, it's called darkness. Why choshech? Shehu b'chinas choshech v'helem legamri mitzad atzmoi. It's choshech, meaning that it's completely concealed. There is nothing that can possibly be expressed and revealed from it. She'enoi begeder gilu. Meaning to say that it is not begeder gilui, it is not in the realm of gilui, of revelation. I'm sorry? Yoshes, he makes. Yoshes, some, oseh. Sisra means his secret. So, and the last words of this is what I want to discuss a little bit. Sheine begeder gilui. That Hashem himself is not begeder gilui. He's not within the parameters of the term gilui. Gilui means expression. So, using the idea that we discussed before of something what's called of an intrinsic value, although we have to remember that it's only a limited emotional in context of the world, but the idea of an intrinsic value is that this has a value that I cannot explain what it is. You can't express what it is. You cannot express it in simple worldly terms, in simple, so to speak, beneficial terms. Normally, in the world, we can express everything in terms of how do I benefit from this. From bread, I can benefit. That's its value, the benefit that it gives. Something that I cannot express in terms of benefit, we say I can't express it, I can't explain it. But it's not in category of saying that it ain't a begether gili. Just to understand what the idea is. That you can't explain it, express it in certain terms. So this, what we spoke about, you can't express it in the terms of benefit in normal terms, but you can still explain and sense its effect on the world, so to speak. So there is gili. Whereas when you say "Eine begeder gilui" means that there isn't any connection to gilui, to expression. It's bli reishis, bli sachlis. And when you say by Hashem He has no tachlis, that's not a detraction. That's not saying, oh, He has no purpose. It means He's beyond purpose. And that is something which cannot be explained. There's no touch, no relationship to anything that's expressible. In the Hayom Yom, the Rebbe brings down that someone who is capable of being a Noikev Margolios. What Noikev Margolios means? Working with pearls. Noikev Margolios means a Margolios, a pearl is a perfect circle. And this Margolios, this is a precious unit, and in order to use it, you have to make a hole through and through it in the exact circle, exact center. And if it's a little bit off center, it loses its beauty. If you want to make a pearl string, the pearls have to be hanging in such perfect coordination, perfect symmetry, that each pearl has to be pierced through its perfect circle. And that requires a very special skill. So someone who is able, who has a skill, can be Noikev Margolios. Today it's done by machine, but I'm saying in the olden days this was a very big skill, great precision. And this was considered, so to speak, a special craftsmanship. So someone who was able to be a Noikev Margolios, and instead he chooses to be a baker. Practically speaking, a baker is providing bread. What could be more valuable than providing bread for everybody in the morning, fresh bread? So it says in there that this is considered a sin for him, because he is not using the talent that Hashem gave him. Because things have to be valued in their true value under normal circumstances.
Where is this written?
It's in one of the Hayom Yoms.
If guy who is make the bread, Nokef Margolios is sin too.
What?
If the guy who make the bread is Nokef Margolios is sin
It's
too.
loose.
God
No. I mean, if he,
is the opposite.
yeah, if he has that skill, If a person who doesn't have the skill to be Nokia Margolis and go to Nokia Margolis, he has a sin because he's ruining the pearls.
Is there a sin mamish or a sin kavyachol?
It's a mashal.
Okay.
But in a certain sense, it's a mashal. We don't care what a person does in terms of parnasa mizoktas. But it's a mashal on the ruchnis kinyan. A person is capable of finer things. He has to use his purpose that the Rebbe gave him. He can do all kinds of good things. But that's not. I remember a Yid that I knew very well, for many, many years now from Europe, and he had a very good head. Very good head. He used to boast to me that he was the best speller in his school. The best. He had a good head. And he became a grocery man. He ran a grocery. A large grocery. That's what is his profession. And he was telling me, every item in my grocery, I know instantly the price of it. And I know exactly what every item is worth. So I'm looking at him, and I feel pain. Where is this great head go to? To pricing the items in the grocery. He had a good head, so he remembered exactly how much he paid for it and what the markup is. He remembered every item. Now in grocery there are maybe thousands of items sometimes. But that's a misuse of a precious thing. He was an honest man, but he's in Gan Eden already. So.
You're saying he should have gone into learning, into rabbinical?
Listen, this is way past what he should have gone to. I'm just saying, I felt bad for a man of such qualities that what was he proud of, that he knew every item in his grocery store. To be a Balkoid is a wonderful thing. But if you say that with your talent, you know what, I'm the best Balkoid in New York. It's beautiful. But you have not accomplished what you should accomplish. You understand? Same goes for you.
Right. I'm trying.
All right, gentlemen.
No, I have a question. You said Bli Tachlis of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Really, Bli Tachlis means that he's
What's the last word?
when we say God wants us to do mitzvahs and he wants.
What? Oh, the last one. I'm sorry.
Come.
I got it.
Yeah.
When we say that God wants us to do mitzvahs and he has said it, and he decided that he has the time that did with Tachtonim, everything. Bli Tachlis is way beyond that also, because that's already the way of Tachlis. So
I explained to you very briefly before.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
But then that means that the way we relate to God is also not in a level where we could say God, He's Bli Tachlis. Like
This is really beyond our understanding. This is what we don't go to. You know, that Hashem really wanted the world. He really desired it. And He put into the world His gracious, great glory, as we pointed out. And that itself is a real miracle. You have a little world and it has infinite capacity, infinite quality. And it's because the Rebbe Hashem wanted to give of His greatness to us. Yoshes Choshech Sisra, that his secret abode is in darkness. It doesn't mean darkness. It means because light and dark is the same. There's no way to define it, no way to reveal it.
Which is the secret abode on Sisra? Is
Sisra is a secret abode.
Side question. When it says in the Torah that the Jewish people are stiff-necked, what do you think the neck has to do with it? What is the neck that it gets stiff? Why isn't it a stiff head or a stiff arm?
There is Rotzoi.
Yeah.
There is Pnimis Rotzoi and Chitzonis
Mm-hmm.
Pnimis Rotzoi is when a person wants something and he has a sense and a feel for what he wants. Chitzonis Rotzoi is called stubbornness. It's also part of the Koyach HaRotzoi.
Right.
But it's just...
He's masculine. He agreed to it.
Right.
I'm going to do it.
We learned that without explanation. Okay. These two are expressed. Rotzoi is in the front.